Listen closely. In a world that teaches you to chase, to beg, to explain yourself again and again, there's a quieter power most people never learn. It's not loud. It doesn't argue. It doesn't post paragraphs trying to be understood. It simply knows when to leave. Walking away isn't weakness. It's wisdom earned through pain, discipline, and self-respect. When you master the art of walking away, you change how people see you and, more importantly, how you see yourself. Walking away signals self-worth because it is one of the clearest actions that shows you understand your own value without needing approval from anyone else. When you tolerate disrespect, excuses, or half effort, you silently communicate that your time, energy, and presence are negotiable. People don't usually disrespect you because they don't know better. They do it because you allow it. The moment you decide to walk away, you interrupt that pattern. You show that access to you is a privilege, not a right. That shift alone changes how people perceive you, because confidence backed by action is impossible to ignore. Self-worth is not proven by how much you endure, but by what you refuse to accept. Many people think staying, fighting, explaining, or sacrificing endlessly makes them strong. In reality, it often makes them predictable. Predictability lowers value. When others know you will always stay, no matter how poorly you're treated, they stop investing effort. Walking away breaks that expectation. It introduces consequences where there were none before. Respect is born when people realize they cannot cross your boundaries without losing you. There is also power in how you walk away. Calmly leaving without drama, insults, or long speeches shows emotional maturity. It tells the other person that you are not reacting from anger or ego, but from principle. You are not trying to win an argument, you are choosing peace. This kind of exit leaves a stronger impression than any confrontation ever could. It forces reflection. People may argue with your words, but they cannot argue with your absence. Walking away also removes the need for validation. When you keep explaining yourself, you subconsciously seek permission to be respected. That weakens your position. Self-worth doesn't ask to be recognized, it assumes it. By walking away, you stop auditioning for understanding. You make it clear that you don't need agreement to stand by your standards. That confidence is what makes others rethink how they treated you, even if they never admit it out loud. Another reason walking away creates respect is because it demonstrates discipline. It is easy to stay where you are familiar, even if it hurts. It is harder to leave what you once cared about. Discipline signals strength, and strength commands respect. When people see that you can detach from situations that don't honor you, they recognize that you are not controlled by fear of loss. You are controlled by self-respect. That makes you mentally unshakable, and unshakable people are always respected. Walking away also teaches people how to treat you in the future. Boundaries without action are just suggestions. Action turns boundaries into law. When you walk away once, you send a message. When you do it consistently, you build a reputation. Over time, people either rise to meet your standards or remove themselves from your life. Both outcomes protect your self-worth. Respect doesn't always come in the form of apologies or changed behavior. Sometimes it comes as silence and distance, and that is still a win. Most importantly, walking away reinforces respect within yourself. Every time you choose yourself over disrespect, you strengthen your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who must earn love through endurance. That internal shift changes how you speak, move, and decide. Others pick up on it immediately. They may not know why they treat you differently, but they do because you treat yourself differently. A simple example makes this clear. Imagine someone at work who constantly gives you extra tasks without recognition, dismisses your input, and assumes you'll always say yes. At first, you explain your feelings, hoping things will change. They don't. One day, instead of arguing or complaining, you calmly decline the extra work and later accept an opportunity elsewhere where your effort is valued. You don't insult anyone, you don't justify your decision, you just leave. Weeks later, the same people who overlooked you start speaking about you with respect, saying they didn't realize how much you contributed until you were gone. Not because you demanded respect, but because you showed self-worth through your actions. Silence is stronger than explanation because it comes from inner certainty, not the need to be understood. When you over-explain, you are usually trying to convince someone your value, your intentions, or your pain. That effort quietly places you in a lower position. It suggests that your worth depends on whether someone agrees, understands, or validates you. Silence, on the other hand, says you are already solid in who you are. You don't need permission to walk away. You don't need applause to move forward. That quiet confidence is unsettling to people who are used to having emotional control over you. Many people believe explaining themselves is a sign of maturity, but excessive explanation often comes from fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being judged, fear of being abandoned. When you keep talking, defending, and justifying, you give others power to debate your boundaries. Silence removes that power. It shuts down arguments before they begin. You are no longer negotiating your dignity. You are simply acting in alignment with it. Silence also forces reflection. When you explain, you give people an easy way out. They can twist your words, dismiss your feelings, or argue their way into feeling justified. When you go silent and back it with action, there is nothing to argue with. Your absence becomes a mirror. People are left alone with their thoughts, replaying situations, realizing what they said, what they did, and what they lost. Silence creates space. And in that space, truth gets louder. Another reason silence carries strength is because it shows emotional control. Anyone can react. Anyone can lash out, send long messages, or make emotional speeches. That's easy. What's rare is restraint. What's rare is choosing not to respond when your ego wants to speak. That restraint signals maturity and discipline. People may not like it, but they respect it. Deep down, they know you are not ruled by impulse. You are ruled by principle. Silence also protects your energy. Explaining yourself to people who have already decided not to respect you is exhausting. It drains you mentally and emotionally. Silence conserves that energy and redirects it back to your growth. When you stop explaining, you stop reopening wounds. You stop reliving situations. You move forward instead of staying stuck in conversations that lead nowhere. Progress itself becomes your response. There is also a subtle authority in silence. Leaders don't over-explain themselves to everyone. People, with direction, don't chase understanding from those who don't listen. When you choose silence, you elevate yourself above petty back-and-forth exchanges. You communicate that your time is valuable and limited. That alone changes how people perceive you. They may call it cold, distant, or arrogant, but what they are really reacting to is the loss of access to your emotions. Silence does not mean weakness or avoidance. It means you know when words are no longer useful. It means you recognize that some people only listen when something is removed, not when something is explained. Silence is not passive. It is deliberate. It is action without noise. It is the confidence to let results speak. Over time, silence rewires how others interact with you. People become more careful with their words. They think twice before crossing boundaries because they know you won't argue. You will simply withdraw. That predictability of strength creates respect. Not everyone will admit it, but everyone feels it. Most importantly, silence strengthens your relationship with yourself. Every time you choose not to explain, you affirm that your experience is valid even if no one understands it. You stop seeking external approval and start trusting your inner compass. That internal alignment changes everything. You walk differently. You speak differently when you do speak. And people sense that shift immediately. A simple example illustrates this clearly. Imagine being in a relationship where your concerns are constantly minimized. You explain calmly, then more emotionally, hoping to be heard. Each time the response is excuses or blame. One day, instead of sending another long message or asking for closure, you go quiet and step away. No insults, no final speech, just distance and changed behavior. Weeks later, the other person reaches out, confused and reflective, saying they didn't realize the impact of their actions until you stopped explaining and disappeared from their emotional reach. Your silence taught what your words never could. Distance creates clarity because constant presence dulls perception. When you are always available, always showing up, always giving, people stop seeing the effort behind your presence. What is always there feels guaranteed, and what feels guaranteed slowly loses its perceived value. This is not because people are evil or ungrateful by nature, but because human psychology adapts quickly. Familiarity breeds comfort, and comfort often breeds complacency. Walking away disrupts that comfort. It introduces space, and in that space, reality becomes impossible to ignore. When you step back, You remove the noise of routine interaction. Without distance, people rarely pause to reflect. They are too busy benefiting, too used to the support, attention, or reliability you provide. Distance forces a pause. It creates a vacuum where your absence is felt, measured, and understood. Suddenly, people notice the roles you played, the problems you solved, the energy you brought into the room. Clarity arrives not through conversation, but through contrast. What life feels like with you versus without you. Distance also separates genuine respect from convenience. When you are close, it's hard to tell whether someone values you as a person or values what you provide. Space exposes the truth. Those who respected you will feel the loss deeply and reflect on how they treated you. Those who only benefited will feel irritated, inconvenienced, or angry, not because they miss you, but because they miss what they were getting from you. This distinction is painful, but it is powerful. Clarity is often uncomfortable, yet it is always necessary for growth. Another reason distance creates clarity is because it removes emotional fog. When you're deeply involved, emotions cloud judgment. You justify behavior, overlook red flags, and make excuses for disrespect. Stepping away gives your mind room to breathe. You start seeing patterns instead of isolated incidents. You stop romanticizing potential and start seeing reality. Distance allows you to observe instead of react. From that higher ground, clarity becomes unavoidable. Distance also changes power dynamics. Constant availability places power in the hands of others. They control access to your time and energy. When you create distance, you reclaim that power. You are no longer reacting to messages, moods, or demands. You are choosing when and how you engage. That shift forces others to reassess your value. People often don't realize how much influence you had until they can no longer reach you whenever they want. Importantly, distance doesn't just create clarity for others. It creates clarity for you. Away from noise and expectations, you reconnect with your own standards. You remember who you were before you started shrinking, overgiving, or settling. You begin to ask better questions. Was I respected or just tolerated? Was I valued or just useful? Distance gives you honest answers because it removes pressure to maintain peace at the cost of self-respect. Some people fear distance because they worry it will make them irrelevant. In truth, the opposite is often true. Distance highlights relevance. It turns presence into something that must be earned again, not taken for granted. And even if someone never acknowledges your value, clarity still protects you. It shows you exactly where you stand, saving you from wasting years in spaces that do not honor you. Distance is not punishment. It is perspective. It is not manipulation. It is alignment. You are not stepping away to make someone miss you. You are stepping away to see clearly. If they miss you, that is the realization. If they don't, that is your answer. Either way, clarity sets you free. A short example makes this clear. Imagine a friend who constantly relies on you for support, advice, and time, but rarely shows up for you. While you're always available, the imbalance feels normal. One day you step back, you stop initiating, you create distance. Weeks pass. That friend either reaches out with genuine reflection, realizing how much they leaned on you, or they disappear entirely. In both outcomes, clarity arrives. You finally see whether the connection was built on mutual respect or mere convenience, and that clarity empowers your next move. You reclaim control of your energy the moment you decide that not everyone deserves access to you. Energy is your most valuable currency. It fuels your focus, your creativity, your emotional stability, and your growth. When you stay in environments, relationships, or situations where you are not valued, that energy leaks slowly and silently. You may not notice it at first, but over time you feel tired, unfocused, irritated, and disconnected from yourself. That exhaustion is not weakness. It is a signal that your energy is being spent where it is not respected. Staying where you are undervalued forces you into constant self-defense. You're explaining yourself, managing other people's moods, anticipating disrespect, and trying to maintain peace at your own expense. All of that consumes energy. And the worst part is that it rarely leads to change. People who benefit from your overgiving have no incentive to treat you better. So you end up drained while they remain comfortable. Walking away interrupts that imbalance. It stops the flow of energy outward, and redirects it back inward where it belongs. When you walk away, you are not quitting, you are conserving. You are saying, my peace matters, my focus matters, my mental health matters. That decision immediately restores a sense of control. Instead of reacting, you begin choosing. Instead of surviving, you start building. Your energy becomes intentional rather than reactive. That shift alone changes how you carry yourself, how you speak, and how you move through the world. People can sense when someone is no longer scattered or depleted. Calm focus has a presence that commands respect without asking for it. Protecting your energy also sharpens your focus. When you are no longer emotionally entangled in draining situations, your mind clears. You stop replaying conversations. You stop questioning your worth. You stop wasting mental space on people who don't pour back into you. That clarity allows you to invest energy into things that actually move your life forward, your goals, your health, your growth, your future. Respect naturally follows people who are focused, because focus signals purpose, and purpose signals strength. Walking away also restores emotional balance. Staying where you are not valued often puts you in a constant state of tension. You're bracing for disappointment, waiting for the next letdown, hoping for appreciation that never comes. That emotional roller coaster drains you. Distance stabilizes you. It creates emotional quiet. And in that quiet, you reconnect with yourself. You start to feel grounded again. Grounded people don't chase respect, they attract it. Another powerful aspect of reclaiming your energy is that it stops you from teaching others that you are endlessly available. Availability without boundaries is taken for granted. When you protect your energy, you set a new standard. You show that access to you requires respect. Some people will adjust and rise to meet that standard. Others will fall away. Either way, your energy is no longer being wasted. And nothing earns respect faster than someone who can. Allows when to disengage. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It is strategic. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot build a strong future while constantly patching emotional leaks. Walking away plugs those leaks. It keeps your power intact. Over time, this creates a strong inner world, one that isn't easily shaken by opinions, neglect, or disrespect. People respect those who protect their inner world because they recognize discipline, self-awareness, and strength in that choice. Most importantly, reclaiming your energy changes how you respect yourself. Every time you walk away from what drains you, you reinforce your self-worth. You send a message to yourself that you matter. That internal respect becomes visible externally. You become less reactive, less needy, and less available for nonsense. And that version of you is impossible to overlook. A short example brings this to life. Imagine someone who stays in a job where their effort is ignored and their boundaries are constantly crossed. They go home exhausted, replaying work stress every night. One day they decide to leave, not angrily, not dramatically, but intentionally. Within weeks, their sleep improves, their focus sharpens, and their confidence returns. Even former coworkers begin to treat them differently, expressing respect they never showed before. Not because the person demanded it, but because they reclaimed their energy and stopped giving it away for free. Consistency builds authority because people don't respect occasional strength. They respect predictable strength. Anyone can walk away once, driven by emotion, anger, or impulse. That single act might surprise people, but it doesn't redefine how they see you. What truly changes perception is repetition. When you walk away, every time your boundaries are crossed, without exception, without long explanations, without coming back to renegotiate why. Our dignity, you stop being someone who reacts and become someone who stands on principle. Over time, that principle becomes your identity. People learn how to treat you by watching what you tolerate, not what you say you deserve, not what you post, not what you promise yourself late at night, but what you consistently allow. If you forgive disrespect once, then twice, then 5 times, you teach people that your boundaries are flexible. Flexible boundaries invite testing. Testing leads to manipulation. But when your response is always the same, calm withdrawal, distance, or disengagement, you remove confusion. There is no guessing game. There is no maybe this time will be different. Your consistency answers the question before it's asked. Authority is not loud. It's quiet and unquestioned. Think about why some people disrespected in a room, it's not because they threaten others or demand obedience, it's because everyone knows the cost of crossing. That cost isn't drama, it's loss of access, loss of presence, loss of opportunity. When walking away becomes your consistent response to cross boundaries, people adjust their behavior without you saying a word. They either rise to your standard or remove themselves. Both outcomes reinforce your authority. Consistency also removes emotional chaos from your life. When your boundaries change depending on your mood, your loneliness, or your fear of losing people, you stay trapped in cycles of regret and self-betrayal. But when your response is consistent, decision-making becomes simple. You don't debate with yourself. You don't second guess. You already know what you will do if a line is crossed. That inner clarity strengthens your self-respect, and self-respect is the foundation of all authority. Another powerful effect of consistency is that it reshapes your reputation over time. At first, people may be shocked. Some may test you harder. Some may call you cold, stubborn, or difficult. But eventually a shift happens. Your name starts carrying a meaning. People say things like, be careful how you deal with them, or they don't play about their boundaries. That reputation wasn't built through arguments. It was built through repeated action. And once that reputation is established, you don't have to defend yourself anymore. Respect arrives before you do. Consistency also protects you from being emotionally manipulated. Manipulation? Growth requires separation because you cannot become a higher version of yourself while staying tied to environments, habits, and people that were built for an older version of you. Every level of growth demands a new standard, and new standards naturally create distance. When you try to rise without letting go, you stretch yourself thin. You carry weight that was never meant to come with you. Walking away is not abandonment of others, it is commitment to your evolution. Most people delay growth because separation feels uncomfortable. It feels like loss. It feels like betrayal. It feels like starting over. But what often goes unnoticed is that staying stuck costs far more than leaving. When you remain connected to what no longer aligns with who you are becoming, you shrink yourself to fit spaces you've outgrown. You silence new ideas, dull ambition, and ignore intuition just to maintain familiarity. That internal conflict drains you. Growth begins the moment you stop negotiating with what limits you. Separation creates room. Room to think clearly, to build discipline, to redefine your identity. When you are surrounded by people who only know the old version of you, they subconsciously keep you there. Not always out of malice, but out of comfort. Your growth challenges their perception. It disrupts the dynamic they benefited from. So they remind you of who you used to be, not who you're becoming. Walking away removes that noise. It allows you to hear your own voice again. Walking away is often misunderstood as arrogance, but it is actually alignment. Arrogance looks down on others. Alignment simply walks a different path. When your priorities change, access changes. Not everyone deserves the same version of you. However, some people were meant for a chapter, not the whole book. Respect grows when your actions match your future, instead of clinging to your past out of guilt or fear. Separation also sharpens focus. Growth demands energy, consistency, and discipline. You cannot build something meaningful while constantly being pulled back into old patterns, old drama, and old expectations. Walking away protects your momentum. It removes distractions disguised as loyalty. When your environment supports your direction, progress accelerates. People respect those who move with purpose, because purpose signals clarity, and clarity signals strength. There's also a quiet confidence that comes with choosing growth over comfort. It tells the world you trust yourself. You trust your vision enough to let go of what no longer serves it. That trust becomes visible in how you carry yourself. You stop explaining your choices. You stop defending your boundaries. You move forward and others either adjust or fade out. Both outcomes strengthen your path. Growth through separation also reveals who truly respects you. Those who value you beyond convenience will understand your need to evolve, even if it hurts. Those who only benefited from your availability will resist, guilt trip, or criticize. That reaction itself is clarity. Respect isn't measured by who stays when you stay the same, but by who honors you when you change. Walking away doesn't mean you hate where you came from. It means you refuse to be defined by it. You can appreciate lessons without living in them. You can honor the past without being trapped by it. Separation is not erasure. It is elevation. You carry wisdom forward, not weight. Most importantly, growth requires separation internally as well. You separate from old beliefs, old self-doubt, old limits you accepted too early. Walking away externally reinforces that internal shift. Each time you choose alignment over attachment, you reinforce your identity as someone who evolves. That identity earns respect naturally because people respect those who move forward with intention. A short example makes this clear. Imagine someone who has big goals but stays closely connected to a circle that only talks about comfort, shortcuts, and excuses. Every time they try to change, they're mocked or pulled back into old habits. Eventually, they create distance, fewer conversations, new routines, new environments. Months later, their focus is sharper, their discipline stronger, and their results visible. The same people who once doubted them now speak with respect, saying you really changed. Not because they explained themselves, but because they separated, grew, and let their progress speak. Here's the truth most people learn too late. The strongest move you'll ever make is choosing yourself without announcing it. No revenge, no explanations, no bitterness, just quiet confidence and forward motion. When you walk away with dignity, you teach the world how to treat you. And if they never understand, that's fine, because respect starts with you. Keep building, keep moving, and never stay where your value is questioned.